Hey, what's up, guys? It's me. I'm back, Jam, or Joseph. And now that Attack on Titan is finally out, we can finally go over and look at the decks. So, first of all, this is probably going to be one of only two characters that I maybe play or make videos or really play from Attack on Titan, because at least for me personally, this is my first thoughts with Attack on Titan in general as well on this video. It's an okay set. The new like keywords, attack, like backups, shifts, ruin, all that stuff, and like attune symbols. They're all really interesting and weird in terms of overall general gameplay theme and style. With Titans and stuff, I'm not the biggest fan, in particular because I hate Smiling Titan and Reiner, obviously the Armor Titan. They're just really, I don't want to say toxic, but they're really annoying to deal with. Reiner's a little toxic. And so I'm not a big fan of the overall style and gameplay of this like set and theme, but it matches the world it's from, so points to that. And it's well designed, and the art and stuff looks really good and cool. Now that's out of the way, we're going to talk about Annie. I'll only really probably ever talk about Annie, or potentially like Historia or Krista, as her name in the cards are, simply for the fact that I don't really like many of the other characters in Attack on Titan. I don't really like Attack on Titan that much at all in the first place. I think it's a little bit of a mid-series, if you ask me, but that's a whole other thing. But as I was saying, let's talk about the one of the only characters I like in this set, Annie, the female Titan. So what's cool with Annie, her front sides, because now we got cards with two sides, 7-hander, 22 health, a little more than normal, and her top abilities just commit. Our non-powerful attack gains throw, and it can't gain powerful again. From what I've heard, there's one way that you can like get around this. Like you remove all keywords, give it throw, then you restore it back to previous, and so it can still have powerful and throw at the same time, which is kind of cool. But I haven't seen that. I don't care about that. To me, it's really negligible or whatever with this character. And then her other ability, which is why I really like her, is just spend one momentum. I can build a top card in my deck. Then you have no choice. If either you or your opponent are at 9 cards, foundations, you transform. And then, once you do transform, as your Titan form, as your female Titan, you can search your deck for a discard pile, or search wherever really, for a backup Titan card with difficulty 6 or less and build it. That would probably be really good if it weren't for the fact there's only like 2 that match that criteria, and they're pretty bad. One is either, you can either get plus like 1 or 2 speed, or plus 1 or 2 damage, and then the block mod. And we have one in the deck here that I put together, like I said, this first draft, and I'm just more of an aggro player, so I went with the aggro one. Anyways, and the Titan's other abilities are, you can lose a health, and you can try to block an attack with a backup from your stage. So you can use their block mods, and only like barely any of the backups in general have block mods, so that's why, once again, we don't really use that. And the 2 that we do use, you can, but it's not important. And the bottom ability on her Titan form, which is the main part and main main part that we were trying to go for, is commit 1 foundation. Your attack gets plus 2 speed and plus 2 damage. And so that's what she does. Titan cards are really cool. They're really neat because you got to build a deck for, in a sense, 2 characters for some of them, depending. And as well, of course, it's cool that we just have cards that are just this crazy and unique and have 2 sides. That's really cool for the game and really fun, mostly. So that's what she does. She's a little underpowered because, like with I think most of the Titan characters, you don't get a choice when you transform. So it's just if this, then that, which I believe means you don't have a choice. Obviously, you do as much as you can with the card text. And so in regards to her, if she didn't have to transform at 9, I would still really like her and play her. But I think then she might be a little too OP, being able to just constantly have a huge stage, which is why I like her. I like characters kind of like Midoriya too, right? You have your aggro part, and you have your kind of defensive slash building ability. Mostly for building, because I like having a big stage. And that's what she does, and she's very unique in that regard. And the Titan form is just kind of just when you finally have to go all in and for attack, with a little bit of defense with the lose health to block with a backup, but it doesn't really matter. So anyways, for the first draft, I'm doing a 60 card deck. We got a few cards, like 20, 40 is the ratio we're basically running. And just to real quick, I think we'll just go over the few cards. We had the one backup, the medium card. Backups in general, I'm also not a big fan of because they're like weird, they're weird assets essentially. Like you can't use them to, you can use them to block and build them, but you can't use them to like as attacks, just straight up backup side. And you can't use them to commit for stuff, so they're basically just weird assets. I don't know. To me, it was unnecessary to say the least. But the backup door are allowed to play because Annie's transformation ability, her ability to build one, is the medium Titan. You have the one other Titan is small. This one is maybe a little better. It's hard to tell because of we're just into this format, but I'm running this one because, like I said, I'm more of an aggro player. It's got a 1 high block, which is really cool. Lose 1 stamina commit, gets +2 damage, and then if your opponent is basically at deadlock, you get 2/2. So in a way, it's just like another instance of Annie, and I do like it for that. And for assets, Item box, or however you pronounce it, Iden box, just box. Box is really good. It's really good. It's super powerful and good. This is going to be a very good card, in particularly for this new format going forward with all the big, huge moves that people are running, and particularly with Smiling Titan, because he makes stuff crazy big. So box is just good. And then the one military police force brigade, whatever it is, military police brigade. There's no force in that. This one's cool. It has some synergy with one of the attacks that we're playing with flipping cards, but also you just get more health and draw a card. We're the only character with the military police trait, so why not just play it at the one of? You can have multiples if you want, but it's not really all that necessary. It is good, but very mid in my opinion. That's what we're playing. One box for protection, one backup because we just get it for free essentially with our character, so why not? And then the one other asset that is made for our character. If there were another asset you would put in the deck, either side or main, it would be Airy, which I have, because it's similar vibes to box of just like protection and safety, and it has a decent other ability to help you out. But I find Airy will be a little less important as we go on overall. And as for our attacks, into the attacks, we're not running Stomp of the Female Titan, though it is really cool. What we are playing is actually, and we'll go in the order of, I guess, the bottom up from what you can see. For Massive Swing, I like this a little more than, I think it's Determined Charge, whatever. It's the 6 diff that is the Armored Titan's attack, which is always a 6 mid for 6 can be reduced. That card is very good, and it's deserving of its UR status and such. But to me, this one has a bit more flexibility. It's a 5 diff instead of a 6 diff, so you don't always have to commit one. Best case scenario. This one always snags momentum, and I kind of just always spend momentum regardless. So to me, it being the specification of 0 doesn't really mean anything. And even if I have nothing else besides this move, it's a 5 mid for 8. I just think it's fine, and you can make it a throw with your character, so it's a good opener on turn 2 or 1, whatever, where you play it, snag momentum, probably build another card with Annie, or make it a 5 mid for 6, and you can make it in and of itself a throw, which is cool. And I actually really do like it for the 4 at the moment, because I think it's actually really good. You have other cards that just use momentum that help you just extend or defend yourself, which is good. That's why I have it at that. And Jaw Jammer. Just so we don't always have to make all our attacks into throws. We play a decent amount of throws in this deck, which we want because we do want to guarantee momentum for our character. And this card is just also super good, right? Because it's kind of just a finisher and ender in and of itself. It does bits. And now onto our next main attacks. This is going to be our main actual finisher that I really like in particular for this, as opposed to say something like Stomp of Female Titan or any other really huge 7 diffs that are just big. This card gets big with its ability, and it's like fairly average cost of just the 5 diff, a low, build your deck around this card for main damage, and it's just good for that regard. Its attack Titans, Wide Swinging Blow, follow for 3, and then Blitz. Also, why Blitz? Like, why can't we just have response speed? Whatever. But Blitz, you can flip 1 foundation, and then it gets 1 damage for each of your ready face down foundations. So this card is good. It really plays off Annie's front side ability to discard momentum build. So if you build a lot of cards face down from top of your deck, you'll have fuel for this, and they'll hopefully all be ready because you're just straight up building them. Plus, since we're the life symbol, we have a lot of cards that just flip for cost, so free, quote unquote, or once per turn, quote unquote. And so this card just gets really, really, really big, really, really fast. We play that just a 3 of because you don't want your opponent to see it potentially sometimes, and also you just don't need it all the time. But could be 4 if you wanted. This is our main swinger and finisher, and it's just really, really powerful. And next is just a 1 of because it's like fine. Is Reconstructed Wrecker, and for just because we'll talk about Copy Hardened because they do the same thing. Just obviously one's like a 4 diff that you have the sometimes option of using the Breaker 1 on it and just getting it becoming a 4 diff 4 high for 6, which is neat. And the Wrecker, you can just pitch a card to play another card from your stage face down. They do the same thing, right? But one's a 5 diff, one's a 4 diff, One has breaker, one doesn't. This one has that weird static while it's in the card pool. I'll just try them both out, right? They both have the life symbol. They both do the same thing. This one as well, if you just play it by itself on like turn 1, turn 2, you make it a throw with Annie, you get that guaranteed 3, whereas with Copy Harden, if you make it a throw, you get that guaranteed 2. So like that doesn't matter, but it sometimes does. This is purely just your preference on which one you want to do or what ratio. But this is once again just playing off Annie's main ability of building cards from the top of your deck. So sometimes you build an attack, sometimes you build a really good foundation. This just lets you snag it and use it again. So it's just good in that regard. And then Leaping Right Hook, I just have this. I like this card, right? It's almost out of our precious format. This could be pretty much anything else in terms of low blocks. I like it though. Right, 5 high for 2. If it deals damage, draw a card. You can guarantee the damage with Annie, making it a throw. It's got a deadlock ability, so opponents somewhat have to worry about fighting us in deadlock. It's just a decent move, but it's also nothing special, and you could definitely play it with whatever. But I like it because you can draw the card and potentially not have to commit Annie to make it deal damage, because most of the time this thing does just hit because it's 2 damage. And then more throws. We'll go through this one again. Overhead reversals, just 2 of them. A lot of these numbers are like at the 2s and 1s just to try it out, because it is, the first draft of this deck. We haven't had it a lot of time in the format, less than a week currently. And this is just another throw. This lets you build out. So it's really good early game to get momentum. Plus also Annie's ability to give damage on the feet Titan side. It's just give your attack, so it's not specified non-throw or whatever. So you're able to just make this a 5 low for 6, which is fairly decent. That also builds in a 0 diff. You really only want this for early game or something else. And to guarantee momentum. That's kind of it. It's a decent move, but it's not great, I feel. And the last one is Jaws of Life. This one's another weird one that I'm just trying out that I do like overall. Mostly because, again, you want this in like early game, early turns for me, because you can just pop 1 card, build in 2 free ones. Granted, they're committed, but obviously you're going to play for like a later game to build out your stage and go Titan form. And this is just 2 free face downs for Wide Swinging Blow. So all this really kind of revolves around Wide Swinging Blow, but also just stringing out, which is really good. Because that's also how I like to play. And that's what I think is optimal for this character at the moment. Once we get the second set, the second Attack on Titan set, which I'm sure will have some more backups and stuff, and they'll probably really start to see how what techs and how they should balance the cards for this set in particular, and what works, what doesn't work, especially for backups, because they're like the new card type, which is also just really weird and bizarre. So once that happens, I reckon we'll probably get 1 good backup or maybe a few decent ones. But until then, this is how you play with more or less just you string out with a lot of attacks and one big one. So that's just what we're doing. And as for foundations, it's just, good life stuff. Annie in particular, I like the life symbol because I know these cards a lot better, and I like the strategy with building stuff face down and such. But in terms of just pure grabbing momentum and maybe just pure better deck in general, the chaos symbol is maybe a little better, because you can just throw in all the chaos momentum stuff from previous decks like Amajiki and such. But life is more fun. Also, she's green, so you pick the green symbol. Anyways, like I was saying, on to foundations. You just play good life stuff, right? Like you play pro hero syndicate target because they're 0s, spams, and they're 6 checks, and they're just good. And you play other stuff like Refreshing Blend is good because, like I said, even with cards like Massive Swing and you're already transformed, so you can't build anymore, you can use Refreshing Blend to more or less build another one or refresh ready another card with that said momentum. So that's why we play this. It's really good. Faith Shields, because we're 7-hander, Curious About Quirks, it's just free draw. It's kind of the only draw we have, because that's my only problem with this deck so far, is it doesn't have a whole lot of draw, but if you play smart, you don't need to worry about it too much. Then other defensive cards like Keiko's Aid, Lost in Thought. This also allows you to pick up cards from your stage with it itself without having to have an attack, and that's good. Also, you can do stuff with your opponent's foundations. Converting Captured Pieces, another momentum out that doesn't, if you don't have Annie's front side available, discard momentum, draw 1 if you have more face downs, which all of most of our stuff does flip for all of our main things, like our defensive and draw. So that's not that much of a problem, but you can just use whatever momentum out you would want. Like even something, say like training weights, right, to commit stuff with like Defiant Stance, ready it, and just get a bunch of damage and momentum with training weights. just really good. That's also why we have Defiant Stance, because our Titan form commits a foundation. This basically says we did it for free, and that's just good. Titan's Pursuit. This card's really goated, right? You just play your attack, and particularly on early games, they probably block it. The other half are whole. It doesn't matter, right? It's just snagging momentum. It's just good, and that's just sick. And anatomy, adaptable anatomy. You can just use it. Throw hate somewhat because there's that big like 10 diff one or whatever in Attack on Titan, which a lot of people are playing, and it is good. And so having something like this is also very good. And then all the speed hate like fast friendship, the resting up, I'll protect you. These are our main flip cards and our main defensive cards, which are really important. And I would choose these ones in particular because I'll protect you is very good because it's 3 in particular. And so for a lot of these moves in particular, like Smiling Titan, which I've in the one of my previous videos you've seen me face, it's actually really good against that because Smiling Titan gives it so big stats. This is like the best you can do. And the kind of same with resting up, because since you can commit your character without having to worry too much about the consequences of such, because you're able to make it a throw and build stuff and whatever. This card gives you sometimes -3 speed as well, which is just really good defensive ability. And that's the first draft of the deck. That's what I'm working with. As you can see here in the side deck, there's a lot of other cool, fun ideas. I have a lot of the Cowboy Bebop stuff currently. By just that, I just mean like this and Heel Strike for unflipping. For my first ideas for how to deal with Reiner, right? To unflip a lot of my stage so he can't ruin us. And there's a lot of other neat cards. Like I said, Area is a good sideboard option depending. A lot of overhaul stuff for building potentially other cards, right? The Dark Tournament is a good action that helps you draw and snag cards with momentum. So if you transform and have some cards in momentum, you can use it to grab attacks back and reuse them, plus draw a card. And then it just comes down to anything. And then the 3 diffs, like getting back information, is really good because you transform at 9, and this card becomes powerful 3, stun 2 at 9 as well. And then it's an equivalent 4/6 diff, right? Because you have to commit one with Annie's Titan side. So it's like it becomes a powerful 3, stun 2, 5 mid for 5, but you always have to commit one. I'm a bit iffy, but the 3 diffs in this are really good, but they're probably better in that other character. I think it's Connie. I don't have Incredible Display in because I always build to what I can afford, and I can't afford this yet. But if you can, definitely run Incredible Display. This card's also very goated, obviously. And that's pretty much it. You play Instant Shining Flash as well, since we are like more control-y deck. You can. I don't because I'm more aggro. Needle Stab is cool to just pitch cards, get in 2 momentum for free. And then Spirit Gun Mega is really cool because if it deals damage, draw 2. So if you make it a throw with Annie, you guarantee the draw 2 pretty much, which is cool. Same with something like this, Finger Daggers. If it deals damage, draw. So it's an equivalent. It actually is what its stats would make you think, right? A throw, really slow, but a lot of damage. So it's good in that regard. And then same with Tasty Riff, which is really cool. I think this is going to be in my next version draft. I want to try this a lot because it builds you a card, which is good, and you can draw 3 cards, so it's good for your aggro turns, which is really sick. And that's pretty much it. That's the deck. This is the first draft, first version 1.0, version 0.0. This is the first draft of the deck. This one will be playing. This is more or less what I played in like that first video or two on the channel, with minimal changes. But this is more or less what it's going to be, and what I'll continue to play for Attack on Titan in particular. I don't know if I'll play this over, say, Midoriya 4, which I really like, or even Midoriya 2 for my main decks that I like a lot. But I do like this one a lot, so it's got a lot of potential. It's very vague, very simple, but not too strong or too weak, which is, for me, the signs of a strong character, especially when you can build out such a big stage, which I love. But anyways, so this is the first draft, the deck overview, deck profile, deck idea, whatever you want to call it, for Annie Leonhardt, the female Titan version draft 1.0, whatever it is in the thumbnail. See you guys later.